One of my earliest memories is my mother taking me to school on my first day. We'd been in the country not very long. We didn't speak the language. And as we walked to school, she said something to the effect of, these are the first steps that I was going to be taking in the rest of my life, suggesting that one time she would not be there with me. Over the decades, one learns about one's parents and the sacrifices and what they gave up and the price they paid to look after us properly. And it's those things that keep you up at night, your conscience, of what debt you owe them. I was thinking about that this morning when I read The Three Shadows by Cyril Pedrosa, which is a fairy tale and about a family, a father, a mother, and their son. And the cross purposes that occurs when the son's life is in danger. Cross purposes among the parents as to what to do to protect him. What will a parent do? Now the shadow, or a shadow as we know, we can't avoid it. It's always with us. Now at night we can maybe not see it, but if the moonlight is strong enough, it will appear. It's inevitable. It's like fate. Three Shadows begins in a very conventional way. It's a fairy tale, like I said earlier. Life is simple. Everything is the way it should be. It's like a utopia. A father, a mother, and their son. The father's name is Louis, the mother's name is Lise, and the kid's name is Joaquin. Everything is fine, except the boy one day says that he's been having these nightmares of these three shadows. But they're not nightmares. The shadows are there. At one point, they decide just to ignore the shadows. Maybe they're just travelers coming by. But then strange things begin to happen. Terrible things. Now, mind you, we are still in a fairy tale. But like all the best fairy tales, from Cinderella to Little Red Riding Hood, they're grounded in reality. And they reveal things that as children we don't see, but as adults we rather close our eyes to, because it's too horrible to bear. We come to realize in our story that these three shadows are very real. They're there for a reason. They're there for Joaquin, the boy. And now the story turns. It's no longer just a fairy tale. And what will the parents do? The artwork at this point is very detailed. And you see it's very impressionistic. The mother is convinced that it's inevitable, it's fate, that these three shadows will take her son. And there's nothing they can do about it. But the father does not believe in fate. He does not think it's inevitable. And he wants to take his son away from this. Now, during this time, the artwork is very detailed, the faces and such. But then you get this scene where you don't see the faces. Where the father's about to leave with the son, even though the mother objects to it. And you have this very moving passage in the story. Just bear with me. The mother. I won't stop you from going, but I don't know if I'll be able to forgive you for it. Joaquin will leave us, I know this, and I'm prepared, unlike you. Lise, he interrupts. Let me finish. It probably will be long before the shadows take him away. These final moments with my son, this time, I give to you. So that when he leaves you, your heart will be at peace. I shall lose a son. I hope we won't lose each other too. It's a very arresting passage in the story. I was quite moved when I got to this point. Now what follows is a quest or a journey to save the child. And I won't go more than that into the story. Pedrosa wrote this story after a personal tragedy occurred to someone he was very close to. And that's what inspired him to write it and draw this story. After reading it, it made me think of a story I saw not too long ago about a 90-year-old French resistance survivor whose brother had been arrested by the Germans during the Second World War and sent to a slave camp where he died. The woman has never visited Germany in her life. She never forgave the Germans for what happened to her brother. But when she turned 90, she decided to visit Germany where he died. She's accompanied by a young historian, and they visit the place. It's out in the forest, and it's a very beautiful day. Blue skies, sun's out. And the woman collapses at one point. The young historian helps her get her bearing back, and they sit down on a bench. And at that point you hear these bird song in the trees. And the old woman, her face suddenly lights up. And she asks the young historian, do you hear that? And the woman says, yes, the birds. And the old woman says, who knows if birds are not the collection of all our sorrows? And she imagines her brother is there among these birds singing on this beautiful day in Germany. On a day such as that, maybe how her brother died, such a day. The sun out and the birds singing. So amidst the horror of human history, she found something beautiful. And that's what I felt after I finished reading this. And the wonderfully, beautifully painful conclusion to The Three Shadows by Cyril Pedrosa. Thank you for viewing.